Alright. Welcome back to Nick Lenz, Comic Corner Classic Classic Non Classics. This is number 2203 in Doubleshot 2097. Now, this is going to be the first of three in a row where it's digital only, because I want to get these ones reviewed. Alright? First up we have is New Mutants Epic Collection, Volume 8, The End of the Beginning. Yep. This book contains issues, this particular Epic Collection collects issues 95 to 100 New Mutants, along with, here's what else it collects. The 7th and final annual for the series, Uncanny X-Men 272, X-Factor, number 60-62, along with material from New Warriors and number 1, Uncanny X-Men 15, and X-Factor number 6. Here's the thing about X-Factor number 6. That is the last one for the annuals for that series, featured the original lineup of X-Factor. Now, the following three annuals that come afterwards, that features the government incarnation of X-Factor. If you think about it, I've never really talked about X-Factor when it comes to the comic history. I should probably talk about it in the future. The whole thing with most of the stuff in here, when it came to X-Factor in 95-97, is basically the Execution of Gender crossover, which I have discussed this already, but I will mention this for 95. It is Death of Warlock. Yep, Warlock gets killed off in the story, though he comes back by the end of the decade in his own limited series that he had. Then he came back for Nerosha, and he's still around this very day. But it's a classic X-Men story, though this story in particular will be kind of the finale for Cameron Hodge for basically about almost 20 years. Yeah, he remained dead until around 2009, I think it was. Yeah, when he was brought back thanks to a virus, and then he got killed by Warlock again in the second comic crossover. Yeah, probably from Warlock's perspective, it was like payback for killing him. Yeah, and it was Rob Liefeld killed him off. And then right after that crossover episode, we have the final three issues here. The first one, 98, of course, I have discussed this before, is the debut of Deadpool and Gideon. Sunspin, of course, does leave news prior to the end of the book. Now, in the case what happens in the next couple issues, 99 is the debut of Shatterstar, who is a robot who at one point Peter David put him in a game related with Richter for reasons. Don't know why. I know Rob Liefeld himself was actually happy with it. 100 is the end of the original incarnation New Mutants team, where they are the Spanners formed as X-Force. And that's in the final issue. They become X-Force final issue, and that starts out basically what we have for that first Epic Collection I've discussed for X-Force, where those first about 15 issues are 15 issues done by Rob Liefeld. He writes and draws the books. Now, as for the ants themselves, that's the King of Pain crossover. What is the King of Pain, you might ask? Now, apparently New Warriors is dragging this for some reason, so I feel like they have nothing to do with New Mutants at all, or anything X-related. Yeah, it's kind of weird. Let's see. Yeah, for some reason, put the annual themselves, like, right after issue 100. Now, is the Exchange Gen a bad crossover? No, it does feel a bit frustrating at times. Per se, yeah, it does feel a bit frustrating. But now, the first part is basically from the final annual for New Mutants. As a matter of fact, when the series is brought back twice, I should mention, Volume 2 never had an annual. Volume 3 never did either. You might be asking, did Volume 4 have an annual? I think it did. Let me take a look about that, just to be sure, because I know Volume 3 never did. Now, did this book publish an annual? I'm thinking no. I don't think it did. You would think basically Marvel would have given them an annual, but nope, they never did. As a matter of fact, not even New Mutants Volume 3 had an annual. Yeah. for Mutants themselves, it was only just one set of annuals, just for Volume 1. Yeah, they never had any other annuals. If you're curious of why they never bothered with any more annuals, the answer is I have no idea. No, seriously, I have no idea of why in the world they never bothered to give another annual. They just never did. It's just kind of odd like that. The fact that this series, like for Volume 3 or Volume 4, no annuals. Just Volume 1 had annuals. Yeah. And here's the thing. The first 2 annuals were just standalone regular annuals. Actually, the first 3 were. Annuals 4 and 5, 6, and 7 were part of crossovers. Annual 4, High Evolutionary. Annual number 4, High Evolutionary. 5 was Atlantis Text. 6 was Days of Future Past. This one, Kings of Pain. It's a 90s style crossover that we just had. Now, apparently, of course, they throw in the whole annual in here. Which, of course, basically, their stories are the first cut. And Close Encounters of the Third Kind. And News Origin Chart. Now, Kings of Pain is basically them randomly getting attacked. Of course, the best thing about this story, yeah, I love the artwork. Yes, I love the artwork. Yeah, just really good here. The annuals, it's just strange that we have evolved new warriors in here for some reason. My only guess is the reason why they were included, and this is my personal theory. I think the reason why they were included was because they need a sales boost. Maybe I'm not really sure. As for First Stroke, it's simply it's a Freedom Force story. Yep. That's the English one. It's a Freedom Force story. Yeah, first cut is basically all about Freedom Force. And, of course, also one of the characters, Super Sabre, he gets killed off in this annual. Yep, he does. We also see the first appearance of Desert Sword in this story. Yes, they're basically, how they give it, they're basically the Arabian version. They're basically made up of, they only have 2 members now currently, but at the time they're made up of these people. Armandi, Arabian Knight, who's actually around. Black Vizier, Siriko Vel. I think it's sort of like a Middle Eastern version of X-Men Avengers. That's most of what it is. Close Cars, a Mutant Kind. That's a Exterminator story. Yep. Yeah. Yeah, and then of course they have a scientist killed off in the story. And, well, the story itself is really quick. Oh, and, yeah. Yeah, in the case of the Anos themselves, yeah, as for New Warriors, well, they're involved in this because something the Toad is basically the main villain of the story. It's very much a 90s-ish story. Yeah, it's basically a 4-part story. It includes a number 6 of X-Men. Oh yeah, and also featuring the Muir Ion X-Men, which just appeared just for a very brief period of time. Yeah, they're not around anymore. They basically disbanded with X Factor 70, which I think some members have become members of what was the name of the group? X Factor. It's a very strange crossover, Kings of Pain. It's not I can't exactly describe very well per se, but they also had their annuals this period of time for. They also had the Von Striker Gambit, which that took up Data Ring number 7, Punisher number 4, and Captain America number 10. That was one of. There's also Subterranean Wars, which cover Avengers in number 20, Incredible Hulk annual number 17, Namor annual number 1, Iron Man number 12, and West Coast Avengers annual number 6. Karvak Quest, Fantastic Four annual number 24, Iron Man, Thor annual number 16, Silver Surfer annual number 4, and Guardians of the Galaxy. This is, of course, from the original line when featured the future version, their first annual. And there's Vibranium Vendetta, which features, get this, it's even Iron Man, but doesn't follow any Iron Man annuals. It's mostly all Spider-Man annuals. You have annual 25 for Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man, annual number 11 for Spectacular Spider-Man, and annual number 7 for Web. I think for Web number 7, I think this was one of their last annuals they had. I think that was, no, actually, they did produce a few more annuals. That's when they posted was number 10. Yeah. But in the case of this book in particular, we are pretty much done with New Mutants Volume 1. Oh yeah, we're done. There is virtually nothing left of this run. My final thoughts on New Mutants Volume 1. The original volume for the series, which lasted from 1984 to 1981. It's a pure classic series, and it's very simple to find this in trade. Just get all the Epic Collection released and get New Mutants Classic, and you pretty much got the whole series in trade. Yep. As of right now, with things doing that, there's not many trades that go to review for New Mutants. You might be asking, what else is left? There's New Mutants Forever. There is a complete collection that collects the entire second volume for the series. And I think that's it, because I have reviewed practically everything else associated with the New Mutants. Yes, because I think everything for all the graphic novels. I mean, I just want to be sure about this. Volume 1 is only got one left. That's basically X Factor Forever. Aside from that are basically for that one. You have that one. You have Back to School Complete Collection. And that's it. No, seriously. That is it. Just those two trades. Yeah, roughly 2 more left. There's stuff with Cable per se, but in the case of one with have Mutants on it, there's only just 2 left. Yeah. And then I'll be done with reviewing the Mutants. Surprisingly, Truth or Dare, that miniseries, is surprisingly not in trade. You probably would think, what was a collected X-Force trade, you might ask? I don't think it was. I'm looking at it right now. I don't think it ever was. No, that miniseries never collected into. So technically, like I said, only 2 left. And then we're done with doing Mutants. But in the case of the first volume, yeah, first volume is all done. Next up we have is Green Lantern by Geoff Johns, book number 2, Revenge of the Green Lanterns. I picked this book because I'm going to review it in a future Comic Corner, another trade for this run. This book collects issues 4 through 20 of Green Lantern Volume 4. Written by Geoff Johns, and artwork by these artists: Ivan Reyes, Ethan Skyver, Simone Bocci, Carl Piccio, and Daniel Cunha. The cover of this trade is by Sam Bocci. First up, we have Alienated, which basically involves, deal with aliens. Mostly, probably to continue what Geoff Johns is just trying to do with this book. We have some. You think, is there any build for National Card War? Well, we have some crazy stuff going on here. And of course, Hector Ham is appears in the story. He gets freed by, of course, Hal Jordan. Yeah, for some reason, when he showed up in New 52, they put him in Superman. I have no idea why. This he's a Green Lantern villain. Yeah, then of course, basically, then we deal with what looks like to be King Shark. Oh, just some guy called the Shark. He actually was on the second volume for the series. Comes back here for this book here. And he's here for issues 4 through 6. And he pops up for issue 16, and that's it for him. Yeah, Green Lantern fights him for a few issues. I think he comes back in issue 1. Yep. Then we have a Manhunter. Well, we fight the Manhunters here on Black Hand. Yeah, Black Hand, who becomes basically Geoff Johns. Despite not creating this villain, he pretty much in a way defined him during this run. Yep, and here's the strange thing though. He only appears in 2 issues that's published in trade. He doesn't return to issue 33. Yep. And we have stuff with Infinite Crisis, where he's working with the Green Lantern and Green Arrow. Take on Mongol, Despero, and another Mongol. Yeah. Well, there's a Mongol here who is Mongol's daughter. And she gets killed off in the story. Yeah, she actually is a Tomasi character. Made her debut in Showcase number 95 number 8. And she gets killed off in the story. By who? Her brother. Yep, her brother. Look at her. She looks like a more beefier version than Starfire. Yep. Yeah. Yeah, as for why in the world that Geoff Johns didn't kill her off, I have no idea. It could be a variety of reasons. Then we have the debut of the Tattoo Man. Yes, the Tattoo Man. Oh, he's a very interesting character. He is. Yep. I appreciate the whole Black Hand thing. He's here for early on. He comes back, but later. Don't worry. And the other Christ thing is only like just for a couple issues. Perfect Life. Yeah, then we have something to do with the Sinestro Corps. If you're curious, issue 10 is their debut. Yep. Issue 10 is the debut of this group. Yeah, and it's part of what the storyline here is, Revenge of the Green Lanterns. And it's a 4-part story. Mostly put just debut of the Sinestro Corps. Yep. Also debut of Arkello. Yep. And the Global Guardians have been reestablished. Yeah, they've been disbanded for years. Yeah, so we also get the debut of Arkello in these issues. Yes, Arkello. And that happened in issue number 10. If you're curious, that's the Tattoo Man making his debut. Yeah, did you know he also had a miniseries of Final Crisis? He did. He certainly did. And then, here's the strange thing, though. After issue 9, we jump ahead 1 year later because basically 1 year time skip. obviously. Yep. Where, if you're curious though, where we see a debut now, it's also kind of shown these issues that Carol is not really. Now we see the debut of Arkillo. Get out of the way here. Get out of the way. This is Arkillo in his debut. Yeah, that's Arkillo. Must be a good save for these issues here. It's National building his own core. And Arkillo's first recruit. So you could say this storyline in particular builds the groundwork for the Sinestro Corps War. And the Cyborg Suitman is here, who is referring himself just simply as the Cyborg. Yeah, he's abandoned the look he had during Reign of the Superman. He's gone for this look particular. Yeah, apparently it was made one of the Manhunters for some reason. I'm not sure why. Yeah. But I'm not going to talk about issue 14 and 20 because I've technically talked about those issues already. So I'll basically conclude here with the Revenge of the Green Lantern storyline. I gotta say, the story is really good. Yeah, so Cyborg Superman is like, he's another character they brought back just to, well, put him in Sinestro Corps. We have debut One Green Lantern, March 5. Yeah, and then pretty much we have the return of Superboy Prime make a cameo. We have debut of one of the dead Lost Lanterns who get killed off in the issue, Karan. Yeah, he made his debut in Volume 3. Joe Jones, Pat Pedro created character, and the finale of the story, he gets killed off. Yep. The Lost Lanterns. Basically, these were surviving members of the Green Lantern Corps. People who were avoided being killed by Hal Jordan and went nuts. But in the case issues overall, they're pretty good. Nothing really wrong here per se. It's just that these are really good stories here. I'm not, like I said, I'm not going to discuss issue 1420 because I've already discussed the story. It's once a Hal Jordan story arc. So, in the case of issues 4 through 13, they're great, really good. I give these issues a 9.5 out of 10. Okay, so that's episode of you. Next episode is going to be 2 manga reviews and comic reading. Let's go. Bye.